Hello and welcome to another edition of Three Questions with Mary at Anderson's. Tonight we are really excited to have Janelle Hanchett with her book, I'm Just Happy to Be Here. It's a memoir. It's about mothering, it's about addiction, it's about hope, and it's very real. I loved the story, and we're excited to hear more about it tonight. So since you're here for this event, can I ask you 3 questions?
Absolutely, please.
Excellent. So the first one, you created the website Renegade Mothering because you needed to know if the rest of the mothering world was crazy or it was just you. What did you decide?
Oh, it's definitely not just me. Well, I thought I was newly sober. I had 2 kids and a baby. I was working. I was going to grad school. I was sort of feeling really erased and feeling really like, is this all there is type thing, but also very grateful to have been reunited with my family, newly sober. So I just was looking around the mothering world and I just couldn't find anyone sort of dealing with the ambiguity of motherhood, like both sides and the sort of extremes of both sides. So I was looking at all of these sort of categories and these interpretations of motherhood, and I thought, one of us is definitely lying. Like, I may be crazy or they're crazy, but one of us is definitely lying. So it was a tongue-in-cheek, kind of fun, curious. I was curious, but what I found, I was just curious if there were other mothers who felt like I did. And what I found was that there are tons of them, and I'm definitely not special. You think you're the only one in the world,
right?
And then you go, oh wait, no.
We're all putting on these fronts for the rest of the world to make ourselves look like we feel they, that they are, and they're all doing the same thing.
Right. I do think though that the mainstream mothering world is in fact crazy.
Oh,
like that whole
helicopter,
and the obsessive materialism and the sanctimony. I think that's nuts. And I maintain that I will never be part of that, but I am not alone in not being a part of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I could not agree with you more, which is just one of the reasons why your book spoke to me so much.
Thank you.
And I've always said that there is no better parent than someone who hasn't had kids.
Oh, yeah. It's also clear when you haven't had kids.
It is. And I was a much better parent before I had kids.
Same.
With all of the things I would never do.
Yeah.
That I would always do. 2 words that I've scrapped from my vocabulary, never and always. Mm-hmm. And you lead the fight against parenting advice. Is there one obnoxious piece of unsolicited advice that has stuck with you?
I think the most sort of long-standing, obnoxious piece of advice that is just patently false is you're going to spoil them. If you hold them too much, if you nurse them, if you sleep next to them, that is spoiling, that they're going to be dependent because they're spoiled and dependent that way. And they're not. So I think spoiling comes from giving them everything they want, which is very different than, providing
love.
That type of, and I don't have anything against doing it other ways, but I had people tell me, especially with my first child, that if you hold them too much, I did too. They get spoiled and needy, and it's just silly, because I feel like you're meeting their needs and you're teaching them the world is a safe place. So how would that make them more needy? That would make them more independent, I thought, but anyway, that was the most ridiculous piece of advice.
Yes. Other cultures
and you get it
keep
a lot.
them close.
Yes. Right.
And we're the first ones to put them down.
Right.
They need to figure out how to do this without me.
Right. And it's not to say I didn't want them away from me a lot, but
of course.
I just never bought into that whole idea of you got to force independence before they're ready. I'm like, they're freaking babies. Like, what? You're 6 months old. You're not trying to manipulate me.
They spent 9 months in me.
Right.
Give them a little time on me before we completely sever it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and that's the one that I get a lot. It's just, you get it all the time. You're going to hold them too much. You're nursing too long. You're spoiled. It's like, okay.
Well, it's good to have your voice out there for other moms who are also feeling that way. Right. To be able to find you and be like, it's not just me.
No,
That's
absolutely.
fantastic. So when my kids were little, and I just found out yesterday which son it was. One of them got really mad at me, and they drew a picture, and it was a plane crashing. And then there was my kids and my husband, and they were all going this way, and they had parachutes. And I was over here, Mom, and I had no parachute. And
Wow.
I saved it.
Yeah.
And, you know, even though they're adults now, I've kept it close by. So anytime I start feeling like maybe I'm all that as a mom,
Mm-hmm.
I can look at it and go, yeah, maybe not. It keeps me humble, which I need.
Yep.
Is there anything your kids have said or done that just keeps you on the humble path?
You know, I think my teenager has been a big source of that for me because, you know, as volatile and difficult as teenagers can be, she's also more mature and speaks the truth a lot. And it really makes me angry in the moment because I just don't want to be wrong or whatever. Right. But sometimes she says, you know, she'll tell me I'm yelling a lot, or like, we all yell because of you, which is not entirely true, but also it's kind of true. And so, and I think just having them around and watching myself lose my patience with them and, you know, hold sometimes them to a standard that I don't even hold myself to. You know, one of my favorite things is yelling at them not to yell.
Yeah, right.
Stop yelling!
Yeah.
I'm like, that's humbling.
Really?
And my teenager's like, do you see yourself? And I'm like, you're right. So I think that's, you know, when they start speaking the truth back to you like that,
yes.
Especially for me, that's been a pretty humbling experience. And also really cool because you can just go up to them and be like, you're right. I'm full of shit right now.
Absolutely.
Can I say that? Yeah.
You know, you can.
You know, just,
Yes,
you're right. I screwed up, or I am not perfect. And yeah, I yell, and we're a bunch of yellers.
And we just get up the next day and we
try again.
Do it all again.
Exactly.
Parenting, as in many things, is a one day at a time proposition.
Yes. To start over each day.
Yes. Start fresh. Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
And if you would like a signed copy of Janelle's book, you can stop into any Andersons. If we don't have one at one of the stores, we can probably get one transferred over. So hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.